New Lands, by Charles Hoyfort, Part 2, Chapter 37d. We conceive now of all buildings, within one enclosed system, in terms of embryonic building, and of all histories as local aspects of super-embryonic development. Cells of an embryo build falsely and futilely, in the sense that what they construct will be only temporary and will be out of adjustment later. If, however, there are conditions by which successive stages must be traversed before the arrival of maturity, ours is an expression upon the false and the futile, in which case these terms, as derogations, should not be applied. We see that the cells that build have no basis of their own, that for their formations there is nothing of reason and necessity of their own, because they flourish in other formations quite as well. We see that they need nothing of basis, nor of guidance of their own, because basis and guidance are of the essence of the whole. All are responses, or correlates, to a succession of commandments, as it were, or of dominant, directing, supervising spirits of different eras. That they take on appearances that are concordant with the general gastral era, changing when comes the stimulus to agree with the reptilian era, and again responding harmoniously when comes the time of the mammalian era. It is in accordance with our experience that never has human mind, scientific, religious, philosophic, formulated one basic thought, one finally true law, principle, or major premise from which guidance could be deduced. If any thought were true and final, it would include the deduced. We conceive that there has been guidance, just the same, if human beings be conceived of as cellular units in one developing organism, and that human minds no more need foundations of their own than need the super-embryonic cells that build so preposterously, according to standards of later growth, but build as they are guided to build. In this view, human reason is tropism, or response to stimuli, and reasoning is the trial and error process of the most primitive unicellular organisms, a susceptibility to underlying mandates, then a groping in perhaps all possible distortions until adjustment with underlying requirements is reached. In this view, then, though there are, for instance, no atoms in the Daltonian sense, if in service of a building science, the false doctrine of the atoms be needed, the mind that responds, perhaps not to stimulus, but to requirement, which seems to be a negative stimulus, and so conceives, is in adjustment and reaches the state known as success. I accept, myself, that there may be final truth, and that it may be attainable, but never in a service that is local or special in any one science or nation or world. It is our expression that temporary isolations characterize embryonic growth and super-embryonic growth quite as distinctly as do expansions and coordinations. Local centers of development in an egg, and they are isolated before they sketch out attempting relations. Or in wider being, hemisphere isolated from hemisphere, and nation from nation, then the breaking down of barriers, the appearance of Japan out of obscurity, threads of a military plasm are cast across an ocean by the United States. Shafts of light that have pierced the obscurity surrounding planets, and something like a star shines in Aristarchus of the moon. Embryonic heavens that have dreamed, and that their images will be realized someday. Sounds and an interval, sounds and the same interval, sounds again, that there is one integrating organism and that we have heard its pulse.